9. The Genii of the Jupiter sphere. The magician will not try to get into contact with any of these, unless he has completely succeeded in getting at least a few of the intelligences of the Mars sphere under his power, who, as has been pointed out in the preceding chapter, are all very difficult to control. The vibrations of the Jupiter sphere are far easier to stand up to than the ones of the Sun and the Mars sphere. Therefore the sphere magician will find it easy to get into contact also with the Genii of the Jupiter sphere. Their range of power is very large, and their influence, which is somehow of an abstract nature, penetrates all subordinated spheres right down to the zone girdling our Earth and has its effects on all three planes, the mental, the astral and the physical plane. The sphere magician who has become acquainted with all the preceding spheres, either by evocation or by mental wandering, and got into contact with individual beings, genii and intelligences will, no doubt, now be convinced that he can achieve and gain more, regarding knowledge and wisdom, by mental wandering, i.e., with his mental body, in the individual spheres and therefore also in the Jupiter sphere than by merely calling beings, genii and intelligences to our Earth by help of evocation. This is, however, not to say that the magician should not practice evocation. Quite the contrary, it is advisable to practice both methods and to try to have an equally perfect command of both. If, however, the magician is interested in special problems, especially spiritual ones, if he wants a better conscious assimilation of subtleties, he will always prefer to visit the spheres, in this case the Jupiter sphere, by mental wandering. Influenced by the vibrations of the Jupiter sphere, the magician's consciousness is expanded, he can penetrate deeper into the truths revealed to him by the genii, can understand them better and can, without special effort, transfer the gained truths into his physical consciousness after having returned into his physical body, in our physical world. Besides this, the magician will find it easy to express, in the language of the intellect, the knowledge he has gained in the Jupiter sphere. Only practice will teach the sphere magician with which sphere inhabitant he should get into contact by mental wandering and with which one he should do so by evocation. Of all the beings, angels and genii of the Jupiter sphere, 12 are regarded as the highest-ranking ones, due to their unlimited range of power. Their influence works on the whole cosmic hierarchy, i.e., on all the spheres, planes and planets and their inhabitants. Each of these 12 original genii has a certain relation to our zodiac, and their laws of analogy are identical to all spheres and planes of our cosmic hierarchy. At the time of their first evocation, the seals of the Jupiter genii have to be drawn in blue color. Figure 1, Melchizedek, Aries, is the first genius of the Jupiter sphere, who keeps in equilibrium the electric fluid of the whole cosmic hierarchy. His job is to enliven everything created in all three kingdoms of our Earth and the zone girdling the Earth. Melchizedek controls and directs the will and the activity of every human being and all other creatures. If the magician gets into contact with this original genius, he can be informed about everything regarding this and, apart from this, he will be made acquainted with methods which will enable him to increase or decrease activity at his will by force of magic and quabella. Following the directions given by this genius, the magician is capable of creating such a strong state of belief by magic and quabella that he can work miracles in the cosmic world due to this intensified activity. Besides this, Melchizedek can initiate the magician into the original element of fire in all its aspects and analogies in the microcosm and macrocosm, and give him directions and the methods regarding the complete control of this original element in all its phases by magic and quabandala, in order to become absolute sovereign of activity in the microcosm and macrocosm. There are, however, many more laws, wisdom and kinds of knowledge regarding activity, electrical fluid, original fire element, principles of light, etc., with which this original genius may not only make the magician acquainted, but which the latter may also get under his control by an apartment abhisheka, i.e., an apartment transfer of power. In sphere magic, this original genius is one of the most powerful, and no magician should fail to get into contact with him, since he will, by this connection, gain a power in the cosmic hierarchy. Why that no other intelligence of any other sphere, perhaps with the only exception of the Uranus intelligences, could give him. Figure 2, Asmodel, Taurus, is the second original genius of the Jupiter sphere. He is responsible for the direction and control of the original principle of cosmic love with all its aspects and analogies, in all spheres and on all planes and planets of the hierarchy. The magician who gets into contact with this original genius will be made capable of perceiving the deepest mysteries of love not only in its emotional and intellectual aspects, but also from the point of view of wisdom. This original genius explains to the magician how any kind of cosmic vibration of love can be caused in any sphere, no matter whether by evocation or mental wandering, whether by magic or by quabella. All miracles that can be caused and realized in love matters by magic and quabella, i.e., not only in our own physical world or in the zone girdling our Earth, but also on all other planets and in all other spheres, are made available to the magician by this genius. All the ways of holiness which behold divinity under the aspect of love are directed by Asmodel, and the conscious sphere magician is instructed, theoretically as well as practically, in all the aspects. The magician interested in the mysteries of cosmic love existing in the whole cosmic hierarchy will find this genius to be the best initiator. Figure 3, Umbriel, Gemini, is the third original genius of the Jupiter sphere, who has under his command all knowledge of the whole cosmic hierarchy. He is the supervisor of the mind, of the intellect, i.e., of all theoretical knowledge in all fields of science. Umbriel directs the maturity for knowledge, the capacity or perception of each being in the whole cosmic hierarchy. Taking into consideration the grade of maturity and development, this genius not only directs the intellectual power of perception and the intellectual faculties of the individual, but of the total of the inhabitants of all planets. Under his range of competence come all the sciences and arts on all planets which have to do with the mind and intellect. The magician who has got into contact with this genius will be made acquainted, depending on the grade of his development, with a kind of knowledge which truly is only accessible to such initiates that have learned to work consciously with the Jupiter sphere by force of the Akasha principle. Figure 4, Mergel, Cancer. The fourth genius of the Jupiter sphere has to control and keep in equilibrium the total magnetic fluid in the cosmic hierarchy. He is responsible for the fluid state on all planets and also for the element of water in the whole cosmic hierarchy, including our world, in its physical, astral and mental state. The magician can be fully instructed by this original genius in the original element of water, its workings and effects, regarding the whole cosmic lawfulness and in respect of magic and quabella, and furthermore, in the way by which, under the influence of the magnetic fluid, certain occult faculties can be wakened and developed in the mental body, for instance, transcendental seeing in all spheres and on all planets. This original genius can teach the magician many other things. The sphere magician who has a perfect command over the magnetic fluid can work miracles by its help, miracles which the non-initiate would never be able to imagine. Figure 5, Virgil, Leo. The whole life-spending original principle of the whole cosmic hierarchy, on the planets as well as in the spheres, is controlled by the fifth original genius of the Jupiter sphere. Life in all spheres and on all planets, including our Earth, is directed by him, no matter whether life in the vegetable, the animal or the human kingdom is concerned, or whether man in his physical, astral or mental body is in question. If the magician gets into contact with this original genius, he will be instructed by him in the highest form of magic and quabella, which refers to the whole cosmic hierarchy. Virgil reveals to the magician special methods and practices by which he can get under his control the highest power in the whole cosmic hierarchy. Apart from this, all miracles which can be caused by belief and the power of conviction come under this genius range of power. Figure 6. Familial, Virgo. The sixth original genius is in charge of all chemical original principles, original elements, in the whole cosmic order. The magician who gets into contact with Gamaliel can get detailed information not only about the chemical elements so far known on our Earth, but also about unknown elements which probably will not be discovered before the far distant future. If the magician is interested, he can also learn the relevant facts about the elements existing on all other planets of the whole cosmic hierarchy and, what is more, he can be instructed in the practical magic and Kabbalistic application of the radiation of each original substance of our planetary system, in its mental, astral and even physical shape. This makes it possible for the diligent magician to become, by training, a perfect master of the original chemical elements due to the exact methods and instructions given him. He thus becomes a magical Kabbalistic alchemist equipped with a kind of knowledge of which the key to practical application is known to only a few adepts on our Earth. Figure 7, Israel, Libra, the seventh original genius of the Jupiter sphere controls the principle of fertility on all planets with vegetation and living creatures. Helped by Israel, the magician can learn to understand fully the principle of fertility of the whole cosmic hierarchy. Special methods revealed to the magician by this original initiator enable the former to work miracles by magic and Kabbalah at his will. The magician can, for instance, make water flow out of a rock like Moses, turn a desert into paradise and so on. But the sphere magician, after having been initiated by this genius, would also not find it difficult to work a miracle the other way round within a few seconds. He is then able to evoke many other miraculous things regarding the principle of fertility at his will. It is also quite clear that Azrael, the seventh genius of the Jupiter sphere, can thoroughly explain to the magician also the sexual mysteries of the cosmos in all its phases, kingdoms and spheres. Special treatment of this matter is therefore not necessary. Figure 8, Carmel, Scorpio. The eighth genius controls and directs the original principle of radiation of the whole cosmic hierarchy, in mental, astral and physical respects. The magician who gets into contact with Kabbalah can reveal, by magic and Kabbalah, or by magical Kabbalistic metaphysics, any secret of the whole cosmic hierarchy in this respect, and he realizes how the various laws of the original principle of radiation can be applied in practice. The magician who is able to control the original principle of radiation becomes the absolute ruler of the microcosmic and macrocosmic hierarchy, and he is then free to make practical use of his power according to his own ideas. Figure 9, EVOCATION, Sagittarius, the control and direction of the original legality, of justice and equilibrium, i.e., of the perfect harmony in the whole cosmic hierarchy, in all spheres and on all planets of our universe, is in the hands of the ninth genius of the Jupiter sphere. The magician may be instructed by this genius in the highest wisdom and deepest mysteries of divine law, justice and equilibrium. At the same time he is taught by EVOCATION to apply all laws of the universe by magic and Kabbalah, without causing any disturbance in its equilibrium. Figure 10, Hanel Capricorn. The karmic original principle of the whole cosmic hierarchy has been controlled, from the beginnings of time, by the 10th original genius of the Jupiter sphere, on all planets and in all spheres. The magician taking interest in this particular matter can be informed of the effects of the karmic laws in all spheres and planes, and he will learn how, from the magical Kabbalistic point of view, the original karmic principles and their laws can be made use of in the various spheres. Figure 11, Gamaliel, Aquarius. The original principle of crystallization, condensation and hardening, in the whole cosmic hierarchy, in our whole universe, is controlled by the 11th original genius of the Jupiter sphere. Moreover, this genius is also responsible for the regular cycle of all planets and therefore also for gravitation, the force of gravity, the power of attraction itself. The magician can be informed by Gamaliel about all the secrets of crystallization, not only on our planet, but also on all the other ones. This means from the magic Kabbalistic point of view that the magician will be taught to change by alchemy, magic and Kabbalah the principle of solidification through diminished or enlarged vibration, depending on the qualities of the substance, so that he is finally able to change, if he wishes, a gravel stone into a diamond, or, vice versa, a diamond into a gravel stone, thus making use of the knowledge acquired from Cambiel. Furthermore, the magician is instructed by this original genius in the laws of alchemy in its most subtle form, especially with regards to the so-called dry process. He is also informed of the practical application of gravitation from the magic quabalistic point of view. If a sphere magician so wishes, he can make the biggest pieces of rock as light as a feather, and he is able to make light things so heavy that no force on earth is able to lift them up. This means that this original genius can easily explain to the magician any problem of levitation, and that he knows many various methods by which the magician can acquire these faculties, and he will be pleased to inform the sphere magician about them. Figure 12, Jothaniel Pisces. The original principle of evolution on all planets, in all spheres and on all planes, the mental, astral and physical plane, of the whole cosmic hierarchy is controlled by the 12th original genius of the Jupiter sphere. This genius is directing development and maturity in all spheres and on all planets. It is difficult to describe by words what experience and what gains the magician will make when he gets into contact with this genius. He will be equipped with a kind of profound knowledge and wisdom that scarcely can be comprehended by the intellect of a non-initiate.